My name is John Henry Geary, and I served with the Staffordshire Yeomanry in the desert and on D-Day. I was 17 when I went in, and the RSM said to me, "When you go in there, you'll be 18." Right. So I'm a year older in the army than what I am now. Well, when war was declared, we stopped at the drill hall for one night, and then when war was declared the same night, we transhipped to Welbeck Abbey. Right. Of course, we had horses then.
They came on top.
And they came in the top railway at Cresswell, yeah. And we transfitted from down there into Welbeck, into the tunnels, yes. Welbeck tunnels. But they found out the horses wasn't any good there because they were causing skin trouble. So we had to bring them out and bring them all down the line of trees at Welbeck. And we was there nearly 3 months, I think it was. That's where I met my wife down there. Yeah. And from them on, we were shipped to France. And we went right across France, right up into Marseilles, and it was the coldest I've ever been in my life. It was that cold, and it snowed in Marseilles for the first time in 25 years. And we had some Indian troops with us, and they was going on like flies, they was, with the cold. But the horses, they were the same, they were all up in mud and sludge. It was terrible. Yeah. And then we transported from there onto a boat called the Rona, an old Indian cattle boat. And we sailed that with the horses, and they were all down in the hold, you know, deep in the hold of the ship. And when we crossed the Med, we had to have long chutes for air to get down into the hold to keep the horses cool, because it was red hot, you know. We lost one or two, mind you, aboard, but most of them there. Then we landed in Palestine. It was Palestine then, not Israel. And Palestine police governed that then. And we used to have to go out and patrols all over the border with the horses. And of course there was a lot of trouble at the time in 1939 and 40. And when the Palestine police finished, we were on the borders for quite a while, and of course there were different regiments there, you know, yeomanry regiments, the Sherwood Rangers, yes. The Warwickshires, the Cheshires, and then there was the Royal Scots Greys, all cavalry. Yeah. And gradually, as the time got on, we all got mechanised, yeah. And all went into tanks. Then we moved into Egypt then. That's where we started then, in Egypt. And then we went from there right through the desert then, right up to Tunis.
We did a lot of North Sea patrol, all that round here at that time, because that's where all the danger parts were, just beginning at war and that lot. And then we finished up with going, getting involved with the Atlantic convoys and that. And of course from there were all different times, we were moved from different places all the time and that like, you know. At the time you didn't know where you were. All you could see was water and you didn't know where you'd finished up, so.
Of course we was with a brigade called the 8th Armoured Brigade then. That consisted of the Sherwood Rangers and the 3rd Tanks. That were our brigade like. And we went right through to Tunis with them. And then when we came home, we thought we was going to Japan, tell you the truth, you know, to Burma. And when it come to, we was going home. We didn't know this at the time. And then we landed at a place called Greenock in Scotland. And that's where we embarked from. And then that's where we finished, so we're very cold in Elgin then, you know. And that's where we started mechanisation then, again. We were attached to the New Zealand division. That was General Freiberg's. And we went down on what they call the left hook. That was to get round the Marath line. And we had to go all over these rocky mountains and that, and it was really bad going. And we had about a week's supply of food to take us through, like the brigade. And we broke through there, and that's what caused the Marath line to pack in. Right. So of course we cut his supply off, you see, down there. But you won't believe it, we're going through all that dust and guns. When it come to cut the lines where the German was coming past us in the road, not one gun would fire.
Really?
Not one gun. It all got dusted up with the sand and everything, like the recoil. There was a lot of noise about it, but they wouldn't fire, not one of them. But you watched all these stuff going past the Germans and could do nothing about it, you know, in the tanks.
Generals Montgomery, Brooke and Alexander arrive at New Zealand Divisional Headquarters in Italy. It was great news to learn of the return of the 2nd New Zealand Division to the Empire fold of the 8th Army. Met by General Freiberg, the New Zealanders' Commander-in-Chief, they inspected a batch of German prisoners which had just been brought in. General Freiberg introduces his staff officers as the party prepares to move on to Canadian headquarters. The Old Eighth is a real British stronghold. Only recently, 2 men from the United Kingdom found their way back into our lines, held by the Indians, after a long stretch of captivity. Wearing borrowed civilian clothes, they are Corporal Cush of Barrow-in-Furness, King's Own Royal Regiment, captured near Tobruk and in enemy hands for 18 months. They both made good their escape in time for Christmas. When asked what he had eaten when a prisoner, Rostance replied, "Macaroni and more macaroni. I got more pipes inside me than a cinema organ."
Well, basically, to keep ship in order. Find, you know, cleanliness. They were still cleanliness during war. Oh, yeah, there was still cleanliness and that. And repairs or anything what it wanted doing. Or if it were a quiet period, Captain had announced hands to make and mend, if you've ever heard of that one. Well, that one would, if you wanted to do have a bath, well, you couldn't have a bath, you had to have a washing the buckets, but that's true, that's definitely true. You used to go down engine room and get a drop of warm water out of stokers and have a quick swirl down, and like that sort of thing. Or if you had a bad time, someone used to lay down and go to sleep all afternoon, or some used to have a wash or get your repairs done or anything like that, and all that sort of. It was just, for a few hours, it was just general help yourself sort of thing.
Their tanks were far superior in gun power and that, and their 88mm gun was something everybody dreaded. Soon they mentioned 88mm, he used to put fright up you, because it was that tremendous gun. It was, you know, it could firepower, it could either fire on the ground or up in the air. You know, it could be all air first. But here's the most things there. When we got near the First Army, to couple to meet them, like, we were in Tunis then, and it was called a place called the Kasserine Pass, where the Germans were, and the Americans was fighting them there, and they got a good hiding. And they said on the wireless, like, "You'll be running into some of the Americans just now." Well, we did do, but there were Germans inside them, inside the tanks.
Really?
Yeah. They'd left them. The Americans had their gun off there and left them, and the Jerrys had got in them there and came at us. It was a funny thing, you know, when we was in the desert, you know, on that left hook, we had to do this charge, like a cavalry charge, but instead of my tank that time was what they call a reconnaissance tank, a Crusader, an English tank. Well, the others had Shermans. Jerry used to call them Tommy cookers, because you just set up fire quick, you know. And They went in first and they put a what's name, a smoke doing in front on like there. And the orders was these German grenadiers were sitting in the slit trenches, and their orders was this: get the tank commander. Because once you hit the tank commander, it took you out of control, you see. And that's to do with it, one or two, you know. Another time in the desert was the winds that our planes came over, hurricanes. And if you're not in that position, by map references, you're enemy. Well, we'd moved farther forward that day than what we was, and they came at us. And they knocked one or two of us out, with their tank busters. And they had to, you could hear them on the phone singing away there, you know, these airmen. And they heard them shout, "Come away, you silly buggers, come away." And they, you know, and then they went and had to go at the Germans then that were farther on with their tanks. But they burnt up one or two of ours. You could they always knew when it was feed time, Jerry, did he? Always to come over without Stukas, you know, dive bombing. And they were terrible, they were, down there. But they always used to come for your soft stuff, you know, that brought the petrol and that up, you know.
D-Day, it was in early hours of the morning before D-Day. The captain had us all on deck during the night. And he says, we're going to invade France. He says, but I want to take you all into a service. And we all had a prayer service. And from there, when early hours in the morning we set off, that's when we went. And we were leading a big 10,000-ton Liberty ship in with all troops and everything in. And we were going down through towards Dover through Hellfire Corner with that convoy, as they call. And we just got into Hellfire Corner and them big guns at Cape Grenades. You don't even know what about them and that. And these big guns opened up on us. And we had one big, there were them big shells, and when they was coming, they were whistling at you all the time. And they come over top on us. Some dropped short on us, because we were still travelling. And next next lot what come over, they hit this big troop ship. And what happened is there were a lot of soldiers all going water and that, and we went straight across mid-channel, full speed, and we laid a smoke screen right up and down the channel to cover convoy while we got it through that and that. That was before we got there. So we finished up on Gold Beach. And at that time, that's when they were just starting to, after that, they would put that big harbour up there. Mulberry Harbour up there.
Still there.
Yeah, very good. I just got a lot of memories about it and all that lot, but it just didn't seem to come back to me. I don't want to know it.
Sword Beach.
Oh, you went on
Sword Beach, yeah, Sword Beach. And I got wounded on the 13th. There was leagued up in this farm, and this was a second driver I'd had that day. We'd lost one, and was filling up for the night, you know, with petrol and that. And I was handing it up to this corporal, who was a Scottish lad. I was handing it up to the there, and this mortar came over and killed him. And wounded 3 of us, and one on the side there, and it were these mortars that Jerry were throwing over the fence lot, you know. We had more casualties there than little. And we couldn't understand where they were. Gone there. And all of them that were directing the fire on us was in a hayrick in the farm. They were all in there, you know, and they found them in the end, but they'd done some damage then. We was after Caen, that's what we was after.
Yeah.
That was our first objective, Caen. But we didn't get to that far because Jerry was in these big woods.
Yes.
And they was well protected there, and we never shifted them there for there afterwards.
No.
Well, they brought us to this airfield, and them that was badly wounded, they operated on him on the spot like that. Was my operator, he'd got in the stomach. They operated him straight away, Chris Savage. And then us, they took us in a Dakota. Yeah, the American Dakota, you know, and landed us into London. Well, it wasn't London, it was Bristol, I think it was.
All right.
And then we went from there to Hereford Hospital. Well, after mended there, my regiment then had come back from France to be re-equipped with these landing craft, you know, with them swimming tanks. And I joined them at Yarmouth.
All right.
Joined them at Yarmouth there, so I went back with them to Yarmouth. Back with there, yeah. We had them swimming tanks then, like to cross the Rhine, like, you know. And then when we crossed the Rhine, you see, it's that fast flowing, the Rhine, you know, very fast. You've got to start from one place to get down to where you want to go in the other. You see, the current takes you down, you see, like that. And just before we landed, a party had gone there and put these, of course, the steep groins, you know, going up the doings.
Yeah.
So they had to put this wire down for the grip to get on the tanks, you see. So anyway, we hit them and must have got bogged down in it, and we got stuck there. We had sails up there and all this stuff flying over us there, and one of the other tanks had to get pull us out, you know, down there.
The guys all on quarterdeck while he went up a ship, and as he went up of the ship, down gangway, he just turned round and he shouted, "Captain Splash the main brace." I'm not sure whether somewhere up continent somewhere would picked him up, love. He'd been doing an inspection on soldiers during war and that. We were looking after him when he was moving about in different places with Stickham and that. He was a grand bloke to see. Very nice. And the king and him, they were gentlemen aboard there. They never said nothing, they just talked to you normal.
We're going through this village, as we thought of a village, now we're looking through the telescope. And I said to Tank Commander, "Look at them silly bees down there, the dirty devils." And these chaps were in the striped jackets and shirts, and of course we'd never seen it on market before, and they were wandering around there and picking the sends, you know, and I said, "I wonder what they're doing." Some were making a mess. And this was Belson,
Really?
you see, and we'd gone through it, like, and we stopped the other side, and when we stopped and come back, found all this camp here. They got the villagers there, local men there to come and get all the dead bodies out, you know, and sling them into this pit, you know, and then the bulldozers come and swept them all into the doings. We didn't know, actually didn't know what Belson when we went through it, you know. Till afterwards, down there. Of course, then they got on to these other death camps afterwards, you see. I don't think people believed it when they seen it, you know. When across the Rhine, you know, we came across this farmhouse. And we went down into this cellar, you know, and talk about live. There's these big hams there, you know, really, really right big the wall, you know, down there. We got one there and put that in the tank down there, and we never lived so well in our lives as what we lived there. Really? And there were crates of eggs in there. They'd lived well, this farmhouse, you know, down there.
Kept it to themselves.
And We used to cook, breakfast used to cook this big ham off there and fry it, you know.
Yeah.
Must have put stew stone on down there. But lovely. And then we come across they used to have a lot of this brown sugar they used to make in these factories, you know. And we come across a sack on it today in these big sheds. Oh, it were underweight there, and I got a trolley and I fetched it across these fields and put it on front of the tank. It was that big, you know. And they said, what you put that there? I said, well, it'll stop out that comes through there, you know, with a shot down there. And all this, one very sweet, this sugar one brown sugar, but it was all right, you know, down there.
The French medal I got awarded with.
Yeah.
Well, liberation of France and Europe.
Yeah.
That one, that. And then you got your war medals and all them. There were 6 altogether, I think there were.
After the war,
Yeah.
we were there about another 6 or 9 months after that, you know. And then they gradually did this, your age, you left, you know, you left doing it like. Of course, regiment were disbanded, like,
Yes.
you know, down there, which a lot of them was, like, you know. But we used to have a lot of German prisoners, you know,
Yes.
helping us with different chores and that, you know, and there used to be a lot of them. And all they used to say to us was, don't worry about us, it says the Russians you want to watch. They used to impress them, they used to say, don't be so daft. Down there said, it's Russians you want. And you know, just afterwards there was the Cold War on.
That's right. That's right.
And they used to impress us, not us, you worry about Russians.